Okay, Charles Krauthammer, your thoughts after the weekend we saw where the Sunday shows were filled with a lot of Democrats citing the LA Times and David Ignatius and all of these reports that were coming out about the CIA and what Susan Rice was given talking points wise, and what you heard from Stephanie Cutter there.
Well, that was a full court spin. To respond to Cutter, she said anytime Americans die, it's a tragedy, yes, but when Americans die in an embassy whose security people were begging for more support, for more security, the requests of which were ignored, were left in a hot zone where Al-Qaeda was rising, becoming more active, that's not a tragedy, that is a failure. It was a huge failure the first time in 30 years an ambassador is killed, and a humiliation for the United States. That's number one. Now, the full court spin is so obvious, but it contradicts so many things. Let's just go back to the last debate. The president takes credit for calling this a terror attack on day one, and then for the next 2 weeks he denies that, or he says we don't know, or we're continuing to look into it, up until The View, when he's on 2 weeks later. Even by the timeline that the administration was leaking everywhere over the weekend as a way to give the impression it's all the fault of the CIA, even according to that timeline, on September 20th, the CIA concludes that there was no demonstration. It sends it up in a report to the White House 2 days later. 3 days later, the president shows up on The View, is asked, was this a terror attack? And he says, we're still investigating. And he says it wasn't just a mob action at a time where, according to their own timeline, they knew there was no mob, there was no demonstration, there was nothing outside. So the contradictions are all over the place, and there's no way even this weekend spin is able to take away the truth of that statement.
I want to get to one other topic, and that is Iran. Charles, over the weekend, take a listen to this back and forth about this New York Times story that said that the U.S. was sitting down one-on-one with Iran.
I think it's a clear indication the sanctions regime that President Obama has put together with Israel and many nations around the world is putting pressure on Iran to sit down and finally acknowledge that they cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Both the White House and the Iranians have said it's not true. It sounds to me, actually, from what Helene just said, that it's another example of a national security leak from the White House. Governor Romney lay out a clear vision for how to get Iran to do the right thing, which is to stop its progress toward a nuclear weapon. We're 4 years closer to it. What the president has tried has not worked.
So, Charles, the White House has backed away from this story. It was 8-1 in the New York Times. It made a lot of Sunday talk shows fodder ahead of this foreign policy debate. What's your take on it?
Well, look, what you heard from Senator Durbin is ridiculous. He's assuming this is true, which the White House has now denied, calculated leak. He says, oh, the pressure is working because it's making Iran sit down. Iran has been sitting for 7 years. Iran was in negotiations for all of those 2 years with the G5. They went nowhere. There was a last round of negotiations in Moscow, in Baghdad, and in Istanbul that went absolutely nowhere, humiliatingly nowhere. Iran offered nothing. Even if it sits down, the only reason it would sit down is to delay and stretch it out so that it has extra time in order to develop the bomb, which is exactly what it has been doing since the day Obama was sworn in. So there is no progress, even if it's true, and I suspect it isn't true, but was leaked simply as a way to make the administration look good on Iran, which this does not.
Quickly, Charles, one more state, Colorado, another swing state. A new poll out by Rasmussen has Governor Romney up 50 to 46, and the Real Clear Politics average there has Romney up just slightly in the state of Colorado. It's possible also without Ohio that there's a way that Romney wins.
That's exactly
what is your
right.
take of the state of the race?
Well, that's exactly right. There are now other paths which are not at all terrible long shots that you can't substitute for Ohio if he doesn't carry it. But I think what's happening tonight is that Romney has the momentum, and as long as he draws even tonight, he doesn't even have to win. If he draws even tonight, the momentum continues, and I think that will carry him to a victory. So he just has to hold serve. He doesn't have to hit a home run to make 7 sports into one metaphor.
a Sunfish production.